Welcome everyone. I, Archana Pandey, PGT English from Kendriya Vidyalaya, Aliganj, Lucknow. I am trying to present a short video on note making. This year we have this for only class 11, and class 11 students, they find it very difficult to understand because of two factors only. One is lack of practice, and the other one is a very common feature these days, the online offline blended mode classrooms. We are not getting our students in the classroom, and that's why they lack sufficient practice and it becomes a difficult topic. While teaching in the online classes, I felt they need a repeated guideline, and for that I am preparing this video. So students, as I have already told you, note making is nothing difficult. It is only a skill which you can develop even though you find yourself deficient or lacking in the exercise. This year it is of 5 marks and you need to do very good practice before the next exams. So let us join our hands together and do this. Even if you do 4-5 passages for note making, you will learn how to do. So note making, as we all know, is useful for many things, like making summary of a long text, trying to memorize facts of a long portion of the text, or just taking out gist for something that you have to do next, like preparing for a speech and all, or taking down notes from a classroom lecture. So what we have to do in a very simple manner, I would like to say, whatever passage you are getting for note making, first give it a fast reading. For 5 marks, you cannot invest many minutes of your precious time in the examination hall. Give it a fast reading and ask yourself, what is this passage about? And that is the title. So first, you have to decide the title, and it carries 0.5 marks. The title carries 0.5 marks. Then 0.5 marks are assigned for the abbreviations or shortened forms of words. Earlier it was 1-1, now it is half-half. So minimum 4 you have to use. Minimum 4 shortened forms or abbreviations. I will elaborate on it. What do we mean by this? And minimum 4 you have to use. You do not have to make any key or index for writing what is this short form mentioning to. So simply use 4 shortened forms. Better if you underline these 4. You can use even more, but minimum 4 is required. Then comes 2 marks for the subtitling, subheading, that is the content of the note making, where you use subheadings and subheadings like that, which we actually call note making. This carries 2 marks. You can call it content, you can call it note making, whatever you want. And then rest of the 2 marks are for the summary writing. Summary writing earlier carried 3 marks and it had to be written in 80 to 100 words. This year you can write it 70 to 80 words and it will carry you 2 marks. So in total it is of 5 marks, but the exercise is a long one. So you definitely need a regular practice. What I already have mentioned, minimum 5 passages before this exam is required for a good practice. And when it is in your practice, it is not so difficult. I am not getting into much formal details, just a simple explanation of what you have to do. So as you have found out the title, what is this passage about, and you have made sure that you have written the title like this. Whatever you have found out, you will write here, and it is sure if it is relevant, you are going to get half marks. Now, for shortened form will already give you half marks. Now, coming to the note making section. When you read it for the next time, after finding out the title, underline the keywords. And for keywords related to the topic, you may get some proper nouns, some names, some dates, days, years, time, or other details. So all the proper nouns, all the proper names, all the time mentioning words, or like any other detail that you find relevant to the topic, if you underline, these will form a relevant part of your note making. After underlining, you will notice that the entire text is divided into certain parts. Whatever long text we read, they are always having certain defined sections. Like if we are reading about a particular place, it may begin with the geographical location of the place, climate, weather, vegetation, flora, fauna, culture of the people of the area. So according to the details, there are different paragraphs. For each paragraph, you can decide one heading, and below that heading you have to write the details mentioned in that paragraph as subheading. Suppose I am reading out one paragraph about Lucknow. For example, it is written Lucknow is the capital of Uttar Pradesh. This state lies in the center of India towards north, and here we may get a mixed culture. So if you write the note making of this, only this part, your heading will be A, introduction, and of Lucknow. Here you got one thing, you can write here A.1, capital of UP. Now these two shortened forms you have already used. Second will be A.2, center and towards north of India. Location. You are noticing the shortened forms. A.3 will be mixed culture. These shortened forms are not only for scoring marks. Remember, these shortened forms save your time and these shortened forms enable you to cover more points in a lesser time. You get more input in a lesser time. So don't think I have used 4. No, I don't need any more. The more you use, the better you write and better content is there. But it should be understandable. The shortened forms, it should not be like the examiner is not able to understand what you are mentioning. It should be readable and understandable which word is mentioned with this shortened form. It is very, very important. And one thing you also notice, if I have written A here, A.1, A.2, A.3 will be shifting to the right. 2-3 basic rules I will tell you today. Shifting to the right. It is called indentation. Left indentation means if this is the margin, you cannot write anything beside the margin here. You have to write everything inside the margin, and when you have given one point here, the next detailed point section subdivision will be towards the right, shifting towards the right. A good note making, my dear students, looks like a poetical stanza formation. And other rules, if you have got more detail in this section, you will be writing all the details. But remember, the entire passage can have 5, maximum 5. It is good to have 5 divisions of the passes, and then inside each division or under each division you cannot have 7 or 8 subdivisions. You can have 5 or 6 only, because that doesn't look nice if you give A here and A.1, A.2, A.3, and you continue to, like certain students do, A.11. That is not correct. That means you have covered more than one point under one subheading. So these things need practice. If you divide the passes into certain parts, like this part is giving me details about this thing, this part is giving me details about this thing, and what this particular part is telling you, that should be the next subheading, and under that the next details. Then next will be called B, and B will come just below this, and again B.1, it will come just below this. This straight line margin indentation is very significant. You have to take care of it. The other important rule is that you cannot use complete sentences, because this is note making. This is a short form of a long text. When you read long chapters, when you are listening to long lectures, then this skill will definitely help you to note down the most important things for future reference. So, dear students, practice this. This is not only for covering the syllabus. This is going to help you in class 12, in your higher classes, in your university classes. Definitely you will be helped with this skill. For revision purpose, for noting down things for other bigger tasks. Now you cannot use long, complete sentences. You have to use it in a short form, in phrases, in parts of sentences. You do not have to use subject, object, predicate, like all the complete sentence structure. If you write, you will lose marks. If you write children are playing in the park in the evening, it will be a wrong note making. You have to write this in note making style, like children playing, like I'm doing note making for this particular sentence to give you an example. Children are playing in the park. It is evening. It is getting dark. Parents are sitting on the bench. Now I'm doing it for you. This entire description as an example. One point one will be children playing in park, getting dark, parents sitting on benches. This is the note making of the paragraph that I read out. Now you can get an idea how it is going. You can use A.1, you can use 1, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. You can even use bullets to make the note making perfect. Now while doing this, when you have completed the entire paragraph, now comes the time of summary writing. But before that, I want something to tell you about the shortened forms. What type of shortened forms you can use. You can shorten the word as I was doing, or even and. Examples of shortened forms, because they are very important to write, covering the entire text and completing it in a very short time. So this is a very important thing you should learn. Shortened forms already. WhatsApp messages and text messages have taught you using shortened forms. In previous classes or in more when we are teaching literature answers or writing skill long compositions, we discard shortened forms and we ask you not to use it. But this is one part of your paper where you are not only allowed, rather you are trained how to use the shortened forms, because things have their importance as and when required, not always. Do not use these forms in your other section of the paper. So some examples, you can drop the vowels, like suppose you have to write the word confirm. If you drop the vowels, you can make a short form like CNFRM, confirm. Suppose you are writing beautiful, you have to write the word beautiful and you drop the vowels, it will take less time. You can use this beautiful. Similarly, at the rate of and, then N, U, CU, message, then 2020, if it is in words, you can write in numbers, 2020. Then UNESCO, they are called acronyms. UNESCO, for organizations, you can take the first letter and form your own acronym or abbreviation. UNO, these are all shortened forms. Similarly, for country, you can use CNTR, country, because if you don't add Y, it may be confusing. Even now, it is confusing century, country. So in that case, if there is a chance of confusion, then you can, one vowel can be added so that it is clear what you are trying to say. So this way you are going to form the shortened forms. Now comes the turn of summary writing, which has to be done very quickly. For this 2 marks, you cannot invest 10 minutes. So you try to understand why practice is required. You cannot lose 5 marks. You cannot afford to lose 5 marks out of 40. You have to practice it and you have to do it. It is very easy if you practice. For summary writing, which is also sometimes called abstract writing, summary, it carries 2 marks. You have to write it in the end, giving this heading, summary or abstract writing. Both the words are used. Here you have to cover whatever you have written in the note making, means whatever points you have touched in your note making, all those points should be covered here using not more than 80 words. Do not use more than 80 words for 2 marks. Even if it is 70 words, your answer will be perfect, because you are getting 2 hours for your paper, in which you have to do one comprehension passage, then note making and then other exercises also. So for these 80 words, cover the note making points, cover all those points in this para, and it will be grammatically correct. Means all full sentences like you were told do not use complete sentence in note making, but this paragraph is grammatically correct. That note making did not need any grammar. You were to avoid prepositions, helping verbs, objects, etc., unnecessary words. But here your all sentences should be complete and complete thought should come out. Whatever you have taken as gist in the note making should be written here in a paragraph form. So with that, I end my lesson here. This was a short introduction to the topic only. In our classes, we will do practice and I'm sure you will learn better.